What we are following always in course walking is like the 3 C's. And they stand for connection, commitment, cue. And that means that those 3 things should happen between every obstacle. If one is missing, you will make a mistake. That's it. That's just simple. So staying in connected with the handler that's the basic need of the dog. If there is no connection, the dog is not taking instructions from you at all. And that's solely, entirely your responsibility. Because what is the dog's work in agility course? What the dog should be doing? Making obstacles, right? So not trying to establish the connection with the handler. Making obstacles. So your responsibility is to stay connected so that then the dog can try to figure out what's the next obstacle and focus on that. When the dog figures out it based on your connection, the dog commits. Commitment for us means that exact moment in time when the dog knows what is the next right obstacle. It can be, normally it happens like right after the landing or exiting the obstacle before. But sometimes if there is like a straight line, you can make the dog to commit already. Let's say there is a straight jump and tunnel behind. You can basically make the dog already commit the tunnel before that jump even. But normally it happens like after the dog has landed or exited the previous obstacle, regardless what it is. After the commitment, you should give a proactive cue, which is basically everything you tell the dog. So if I'm running straight forward, keeping my head like this and running straight, is that a cue? What does that tell to my dog when my dog is entering this jump? What does it tell? What information does it contain? Go straight, jump on extension, keep going. That's a proactive cue what to do with this obstacle or actually after this obstacle, right? So everything you do should be like proactive cue. So proactive cue means that whatever you do, you tell your dog before the dog enters this jump, she needs to already know what to do next. And all the cues, no matter, is obviously we do like turning cues, like cue collection and stuff like that we understand it's a proactive cue. But if you're just running straight, that's also a proactive cue. It always happens in that order. Connection first. Without connection, I would say that the dog doesn't commit anything. After the commitment, you give a cue. Yeah. And the cue should be given at the latest when? Yeah, I would say 1 stride before takeoff. So that applies to all kinds of dog. It doesn't, small dog has much shorter strides. So if you say 3 feet, that might be really small dog. It might be like 2 strides. But I think that's kind of a good overall. I rather attach that to the dog striding because then it doesn't matter if you have a small dog, large dog, whatever. 1 stride before takeoff. How do you think your dog is understanding the concept of connection? For the dog, what it does actually mean is that the dog only needs to see the side profile of your face. That's enough. Because based on that, well, you said body language. Obviously you can use like your shoulder line has maybe turned a little bit like this. You have turned your head, so that's kind of a body language also. But I think what you just need to understand is that no matter what you do, no matter how much you do like this, if your head is that way, your dog will always 100% take that side. Always. So the connection part, the dog should see the side profile of your face, and if the dog doesn't see it, very often what you see that if you're running your head straight, the dog is behind you and trying to watch you like this. Because the basic need, then the dog is trying to establish the connection back because you are not establishing it for her. And then you also can, like, with using your peripheral vision, I think then you also can see much better where you're running, because that's almost equally important that actually staying connected. No, wouldn't say staying connected, but seeing where your dog is, to see where you run, right? So that's why I always try to, in the course walking, I try to actually find what is the best way. So I'm planning where I'm watching, and that's a very essential plan, part of your walkthroughs, your course walking. It's just plan where you are watching. Commitment, that I went through a little bit already. So the dog commits really early, should commit and stay committed. In order to dog to, or why staying committed to jumps or obstacles, it's very important, because the better your dog stays committed, the earlier you can give the cues. If you always have to like babysit the dog almost to the point of takeoff, or even sometimes over the bar, you are like doomed to be late all the time. So what I'm doing, and we are training, is that immediately after the dog, it might be like 20 feet away, 21 feet, 7 meters away, and if the commitment has happened, I can basically do whatever I like, and my dog only understands it's a cue. So she doesn't drop the commitment, she still knows that she needs to take that jump, and whatever I'm telling her to do is only a cue what happens after it. The cue contains like information. Do I need to extend or collect, with speed? But those are the things that the dog should like do independently, and they are the best judge and jury there. So, well, those three things, when you're walking the course, I think those three things should be like on your checklist. So most of the good handlers, they do it by heart. They do it just, automatically. They don't have to, you don't have to think about it. But if there are any gaps in your mind, how it works, I would encourage you to go through that checklist in training, because it takes a lot of time. You don't have time to do that maybe in competition, because it takes time. But I would kind of try to check. So let's say number 1, number 2, I would come here, connection, check. Then when the dog lands the next one, commitment, check. And then before she takes off, one strike before she takes off, I make a front cross, which would be a cue, check. So all three. And then I continue. My dog lands, connection, check, commitment, so there's a next right obstacle there, check. And then depending what I want my dog to do on the tunnel, if I just keep running straight, for example, that would be a cue to go straight, so check. Or if I give a slow down cue, tunnel break, check, whatever. So I do that connection, commitment, cue between every obstacle, and I can have a checklist to me that if my handling is good. It doesn't matter what handling move it is, because handling move is always only the cue. The connection and commitment part is like, it just happens before the cue. It always happens in that order also. That's agility. If you can repeat that 20 times in each course, and your dog knows how to perform obstacles, you do clear round every time. Just that simple. You understand? If there is connection, your dog knows where to go. If there's a right obstacle, she commits that. And when you give a cue what to do with after that obstacle, she stays on the perfect line. And if you repeat that 20 times in a course, you do clear round every time. So if the obstacle performance is there, if your dog knows how to weave, your dog knows how to make contact, your dog knows how to perform tunnel and blah, 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 blah. And that's it. Agility. In a nutshell. Yeah, exactly.